Hello, everyone. It's Nickel Plate Studios here. So you're all probably watching this video wondering, what are you doing, Nickel Plate? What are you doing? You never made a video like this before. So the story is, guys, I haven't really had much of a chance to upload anything Tidewater Point Pacific related. You know, as for the past couple months, because of school and, this new exercise routine I'm trying to get going, But that aside, I just... Forbidden Trackage Part 2's kind of been grinding to a halt, and a little while ago I was having some problems with the video editing software, which the problems I was having appears to have rectified themselves. I don't know why. Technology is a very strange thing, people. But anyways, so Forbidden Trackage Part 2 is kind of grinding along right now, just simply because production's kind of slow, and I've had a bunch of other things in my life that have been going on, and just in overall I've had a lack of motivation sometimes to do so. But I figure in the meantime, I would show you guys, or at least take you guys along on what I normally do when I'm not, making anything Tidewater Point Pacific related. Which this would be route building and train simulator. This is kind of an inaugural video for a new series I hope to start on my channel, route building with Nickel Plate Studios, or route building with Brandon Reed, as some of you know me as. I'm not sure what I want to do with this video series, to be perfectly honest with you guys. Like, maybe make it like, I don't know, maybe I could make this a Q&A thing. I think I might make this a Q&A thing. See if you guys want to do that. Just, if you want me to make this a Q&A thing, let me know down in the comments, just simply because whenever I'm route building, I'm usually very quiet, and I don't say much just because I'm really into building the route. But yeah, anyways, so I figure for this inaugural edition of Route Building with Nickel Plate Studios, or Brandon Reed, I don't know, I'm kind of wishy-washy on what I want to call this, to be perfectly honest with you. But anyways, I figure the route we would focus on is actually a Class 2 regional railroad. It's not anything Tidewater related. Tidewater's kind of become a mega route at this point, and I'm kind of plotting what my next move is going to be for that route, just because I kind of suffered a minor setback where I had installed another route that I wanted to make a part of it, and it had a bunch of missing depths, and for some reason my game wasn't letting me delete the missing depths, and so I had to delete it, and, well, I didn't back up my route before I did it, and a portion of it was not there. But most of the route was still there, so at least I've got that going for me. But anyways, so the route that we're covering today in this first edition of Route Building with me is the Delmarva and Countydown Railroad. It's a Class 2 regional railroad, and it runs on the Delmarva Peninsula, out near the Atlantic Ocean, by Virginia, Maryland, and New Jersey. That's where Ocean City is. So I really don't have a story for this railroad. I mean, I kind of got one loosely put together. I don't have too many details about it, just simply because I haven't had the time to think much of one up. But anyways, the Delmarva and Countydown, I like to imagine, started in the late 1800s as a means of serving the Delmarva Peninsula's, transportation needs. I'm not sure if it'll be going. I'm not sure if, like, I'm kind of thinking of whether or not I want the company to start out under a different name, like maybe the Beach City and Countydown Railroad or something. I don't know. I'm still thinking about this, guys. But anyways, so the primary part of the route that I'm currently focusing on is the area between the Countydown Terminal and Beach City, which is a small town along the coastline. So the Delmarva and Countydown Railroad's terminal in Countydown is basically, it's kind of the starting point or the ending point for the railroad. Well, I consider it their start point because that's where their main base of operations is. But the purpose of the railroad being built was, to serve the region's transportation needs, and it is kind of a direct route between Beach City and Countydown. Like, if there was someone who wanted to go from Beach City to, I don't know, somewhere else, they would take the train from Beach City and go to Countydown, where they would detrain, and then they change trains. They change trains because there's a main line running parallel to the yard in Countydown. And they change trains, and they either go, to Baltimore or Atlantic City, probably, pretty much basically from there to anywhere, essentially. So, I want to say at one point, with the main line being paralleling the Delmarva and Countydown for a couple of miles, at one point or another, I want to say like maybe around the 1930s maybe, the Central of New Jersey Railroad gained some control in the Delmarva and Countydown Railroad's company. It's kind of like one of those Pere Marquette and Chesapeake and Ohio type deals, where they're not, the railroads haven't fully merged, but there's a larger one controlling a smaller one. Yeah. So So essentially, at one point or another, the the Central New Jersey and the Central New Jersey kind of gained control of the Delmarva and Countydown, and the main line that parallels it for a few miles outside of Countydown is actually jointly owned by the Central New Jersey and the Baltimore and Ohio. Just south of the yard at Countydown, there's a split. The main line curving off, I like to imagine, is it's the Central of New Jersey, which goes somewhere. I haven't figured that part out yet. And the other one is the B&O, the one that goes straight, and that goes to Baltimore, I think. I don't know. I'm kind of bad with geography when it comes to building trains routes. So, yeah. So, nonetheless, the railroads, the other thing, too, about the Delmarva and Countydown, it's kind of a railroad of different quirks, like, whenever it comes to route building, I'm more of a mainline kind of guy who likes to make interactive routes. Now this route, I'm still going to make it interactive. I'm going to put different industries along the way, just so, just to make the route functional, so you can do stuff on it. But anyways, I'm more of a mainline guy when, it comes to sweeping curves and large bridges and whatnot. And, this one kind of deviates from that a little bit, like I'm the mainline double track guy. This is more of a single track venture with stuff like gauntlet bridges and, tighter curves, street running, running through alleyways and backyards and whatnot. Crazy stuff that I would never normally do, but we'll make it work. So, anyways, as far as motive power goes on the Delmarva and Countydown, the Delmarva and Countydown's kind of known for hand-me-downs. They never did build their own locomotives, and a lot of the stuff they received was from other railroads that, didn't need it anymore and were putting them up for sale. So throughout its entire lifespan, like say if you were in the around the 40s and 50s, you'd probably see, consolidations from the Southern Railway, Canadian Pacific Mikes, Canadian Pacific G2s, various assortments of steam locomotives. You probably would have also seen some Delaware and Lackawanna power, probably some CNJ stuff, maybe even a couple New York Central engines. So it was always a very diverse and, different, a lot of different stuff you could find on the Delmarva and Countydown. In the 50s, they did buy diesels. They stopped purchasing steam locomotives, but they didn't retire their steam locomotives, actually. As dieselization was occurring on the Delmarva and Countydown, not just on the Delmarva and Countydown, but on other railroads elsewhere, the Delmarva and Countydown kept their steam engines in use because they had different mindsets, thinking, well, the more motive power we have, the better off we are. You know, and I want to say the controller of the Delmarva and Countydown at the time did kind of realize the historical value of steam locomotives early on, as the advent of diesels were on their way. So that's why I like to imagine the Delmarva and Countydown, it has the distinction of being one of the last railroads in the country to use steam. Well, to continue to use steam, actually. They never retired their steam fleet, It would always kind of be like a train enthusiast's kind of little pilgrimage to come to the Delmarva and Countydown in like the late 60s and, early 70s, because that's where you could find steam locomotives operating, So, the current steam fleet on the Delmarva and Countydown, it consists of, your basic kind of small steam power, medium-sized small steam power, like, you got like little 040 tank engines and 060 tender engines, tender switchers kind of being the smallest, and then the mainstay of the motive power is probably stuff like consolidations, 10-wheelers, mastodons, lot of interesting stuff. You kind of get up to they do have large steam power. I like to imagine like larger would kind of be like a Canadian Pacific G2 locomotive or a Canadian National S1B, which they do have. Their largest steam locomotive, I like to imagine, is actually a New York Central J3A Hudson with a centipede tender. Usually they do run the Hudson on the line to Beach City, but what I like to imagine the railroad does is that when they do various excursions, they usually take the engine out on the main line, which is to the west of Countydown, the old CNJ line that kind of eventually meets up with a line. I'm not sure if I want it to meet up with the Northeast Corridor just simply because of the high-speed trains, might disrupt the schedule, or if it's a line that parallels the Northeast Corridor. I'm still working that out, but nonetheless, yeah, they'll usually run excursions with that from Countydown to New York probably, or other places along the line. Now, as far as basic information on the Delmarva and Countydown's, its rail services, it still is an independent Class 2 railroad. They run revenue freight. CNJ no longer controls them just simply because Central New Jersey doesn't exist anymore. They kind of exited stage left whenever. I'm not sure what happened to them, but they did. So, as far as what trains they run regular revenue freights along the line, and they actually do run commuter services. Commuter service on the Delmarva and Countydown between Countydown and Beach City is not exactly what you'd call uniform. Like, they don't exactly have a set train consist for each one, because they run multiple trains for their commuter service, So, one train, you might get an RS3 with a couple of Reading lightweights, or ex-Reading lightweights. Say you wait about 45 minutes, and the next one pulls up, might be an F unit with some stainless steel passenger cars behind it. Wait another 45 minutes, and you'll probably see a Canadian Pacific G2 Pacific with some DMU coaches behind it, operating in push-pull mode. If they did that, I'm not sure, but that's just how they do things on the Delmarva and Countydown. So, yeah. And in addition to commuter passenger service, the railroad does run it's a weekend tourist venture called the Beach City Limited, and that's one of the things I like to imagine that the railroad is known for. That's why people come to see it. It's a weekend thing. Usually they have one or two other steam engines pulling it, usually with diesel assistance, and, it runs from it runs from Countydown to Beach City, and I'm still debating on whether I want it to be like an all-day type excursion, or maybe maybe they run once or twice a day, kind of like at the Cuyahoga Valley Railroad. So, anyways, the portion of the route currently being worked on here. I know I've kind of been ignoring the video, just, telling you guys the story of the Delmarva and Countydown in the least scatterbrained way I could, but this is the area currently you see here is it's north of Countydown. It's like the first station stop on the route for commuter trains heading back to Beach City, and second to last stop if you're going to Countydown. And it's the first stop, or second to last stop, for the Beach City Limited. Before reaching Countydown, or if you're going, it depends on which way you're going, really. I don't exactly have a name for this town yet. You get, after you depart Countydown, you parallel the main line for a little bit, and then you pass underneath the huge bridge you may have seen earlier in the video, and you reach this town along the, along the banks of the river. As you can tell, there's a street running segment for it. And I'm not exactly sure. I'm trying to find a justified reason as to why there's street running there. I think I'm gonna put some hills behind the town, maybe some cliffs, just to, they built the town there, and there wasn't enough room to, for the railroad and the road to be separate. So that's why the street running arrangement was chosen. But nonetheless, so I don't exactly have a name for this town yet. Generally, I don't know. You know what? I will give you, all of you, the honors of, coming up with a name for this town. Just simply because I can't think of one. If you could come up with a name for the town and the river next to it, just let me know down in the YouTube comment section. I know it's a bit of an unusual request I have of you guys, but, you don't have to do it if you don't want to. But the help is greatly appreciated. The point you see in the video here, I was trying to find a suitable crossing gate or crossing signal to use, for when the tracks kind of merge into the street. I was hoping for a gantry signal, just simply because, it's a highway, but I didn't have a suitable one, or one that was suitable for it. I found one that I thought was suitable for it, but it turns out there was train tracks that were kind of attached to it that you're supposed to run past the signal, so I didn't end up using it. But I will download one. I will go back to the DLS. That's where they always are, and I will put some on for that segment of the route. Or, well, that particular segment of the route where the crossing signal is needed. Additionally, too, alongside the highway towards the riverbank, there's going to be several different driveways going to people's homes and, the various boat launches along the river, just because, it's Delmarva. There's a river there. We probably got fishermen and people who just want to go out sailing. So I still need to figure out what crossing signals I'm going to use for those driveways and different streets and intersections that kind of merge with the highway, or kind of go up to the highway where directly into the lane where the train tracks are. I'd like to use some of those crossing signals that have the two other pairs of lights facing different directions, but I'll need to find one that doesn't have a gate on it, simply because I have no, simply because it's street running. It's kind of pointless if you had a gate, next to a driveway or something, just, simply because, if the train's not there, you might as well just use that lane. I mean, right now, for a couple of the driveways, I just have, I have a crossbuck, or crossbucks, for them. So, in this particular section, obviously we're covering a lot of scenery work, and, putting this segment, you see I'm putting trees around what would be Grandmama Cheese's house, but because this isn't Tidewater, it's not, but, It was built by the same architects. It's a striking resemblance. It's probably some rich guy's mansion. He just lives on the riverbank, and well, he has a train running in his front yard. What other things could I talk about in this voiceover clip? Like, this is the problem when it comes to me and route building. It's just that, like, I get so into it, you know, and there's only so much I can talk about before I just run out of things to say. So that's why I'm considering making this in any videos that follow it. You know, well, any videos following this particular one. You know, more like a Q&A thing. So, you know, if you guys have questions for me, just, you know, tell me in the comment section below if you'd like me to make a Q&A series out of this video, you know, just, you know, so you guys can answer, so I can answer you guys' questions, any you may have, you know, about me in general, or Tidewater Point Pacific, or, you know, how I build routes and whatnot, and, you know, like, any general stuff will work, just, you know, so I have something to talk about, you know, and not run out of things to say in the middle of a route building thing, just, you know, because I run out of things to talk about pretty quickly, you know, and I'm just scatterbrained, so I tend to lose my train of thought, no pun intended, while talking about a specific thing, you know, just because whenever that happens, the whole voiceover ends up turning into this rant about nothing, you know. So yeah, just let me know in the comment section below if you guys want me to make this a Q&A video. Please make it please say yes. You don't have to, but you know. So in this particular section, we're just putting a couple of railroad junkies off the side of the highway. They're out rail fanning. This route is supposed to take place in the present day, but as you can see, I'm putting down a lot of vintage 1950s cars just simply because I'm a classic car nut, you know. I mean, I go into the automobile selection, and all the automobiles aren't really kind of my style until I run into the 1950s Finn cars, you know. That stuff is stylish, and I love it. You know, like, being a railroad enthusiast to the side, I'm also a classic car enthusiast, so when I see a whole selection of, you know, scenery objects, and they're all like, you know, they got 1955 Oldsmobile in there, 1959 you know, Chevy Impala, Cadillac Eldorado, you know, even a you know, 1965 Shelby, or the 77 Firebird. Like, they got, like, these are scenery objects you can get, you know. I just put them everywhere, just simply because I can't get enough of them, you know. You know, like, I try to make the routes I build as detailed as possible, but I think that's where I kind of diverge when it comes to route building, because part of it is you have to, like, you have to know the setting, like, in that, you know, place, time, location, you know, a lot of prototypical route builders are probably like, Brandon, why aren't you putting down modern automobiles if this takes place in the modern era? It's like, well, I'm sorry, this does take place in the modern era, but my one weakness is classic cars, you know. The moment I see a bunch of them, I'm going to put a bunch of them down, just simply because I love them, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like, seriously, I'd love to have a classic car of some sort. I can't decide on which one, though. You know, it'd be nice to have, like, a 1957 Mercury Turnpike Cruiser, or, you know, 1954 Cadillac Fleetwood Coupe de Ville. You know, problem is, it seems the older the car is, the more expensive it is, and, you know, the harder it is to come by parts for it. So, you know, that's why, if anything, that's why I'm more of like a 80s guy. If I could get like if I could get a hold like of like a 1980s Trans Am, that would be nice. You know, but I have no means to acquire one, so, you know, I'm kind of yeah, I'm just blurting crap out right now. Let's see, how much time do I have left on this video? Oh, it's almost up. So, anyways, guys, I'm gonna have to end this voiceover in a few minutes because I only filmed the video for so long. So I'll be ending this video off with a little promotional run-by sequence. Like, the whole goal of doing this particular area of the route, you know, the whole purpose of doing this particular section was to do like a little promotional run-by sequence for the end of the video. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching this. You guys are awesome. Just let me know down in the comment section below if you would like me to do more videos like this, or not. I apologize if it was boring and me just rambling on about random stuff. But, you know, tell me whether or not you'd like me to do more videos like this, and whether or not maybe you'd like to see me do a Q&A series out of this. You know, just ask me questions about Tidewater Point Pacific or anything in general, for that matter. So, yeah. This is Nickel Plate Studios signing off. Cue that promotional run-by sequence.